Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is February 6th, 2023. Happy birthday shout outs to Bob Marley, Axl Rose, Babe Ruth, Ronald Reagan, and of course, if you want to get Rickrolled, Rick Astley. So there's that. We are now officially 9 days away. By the way, last week would like to just let everybody know
Did
I
you just
was
give
correct.
happy birthday shout out to not give one to yourself?
I did not give. I am not going to give one to myself.
Well, that's the
No,
first time you've ever done that, and it happened to be on your birthday.
it is on my birthday. Yeah.
That's weird. That was weird. That was a weird thing to do. To give you birthday shout outs for the first time and it was on your birthday and
Yeah,
not to
well, it's
even
the only
mention
day.
it.
Well, the reason is well, I'm not going to say happy birthday to me. Never going to do that. The only reason is it's the only day I know whose people's birthdays it is, unless somebody tells me, or it's you guys. That's it.
Babe
That's
Ruth.
why. That's why I knew it. Babe Ruth, Axel, Bob Marley, Rick Astley, Ronald Reagan. It's a pretty good group, and me.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted was correct last time. The Cardinals do report on the 15th, did confirm that, not the 14th. So while they might be down there, they officially will be there in 9 days. Next Wednesday, pitchers and catchers officially report for the Cardinals, which puts us roughly the math carry the 152 days from opening day in St. Louis.
Yeah. 52. Man, it's just coming up quickly. I'm excited for it.
Who was 52? Michael Waka? Was he 52?
Yeah,
There you go.
he was.
That
I
means
wonder who's
tomorrow's Willie McGee Day, and Wednesday is obviously Adam Wainwright Day. Do you know who was for? Do you know a 49 for the Cardinals? Somebody can help us out there. I don't remember what
some
Ludwig
reliever.
was. That
48,
probably
I think.
was he 48? I was thinking
I don't know.
47. So yeah. Oh well. Either way, that's where we are. 52 days from opening day. How is the weather in Champaign, Illinois, in your jail cell that you're still sitting in because you refuse to put anything up on the walls in the house that you live in year round?
It's not a house. And it was
Whatever.
50 today. It was actually 50 today, so it wasn't too bad.
That feel like 80?
Yeah, actually. I wore
Yeah.
shorts.
75 here today.
Must be nice.
Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so not much in the news outside of it does look like before we get to our player profile, one thing I kind of want to get your take on because I don't know how much you know about this, and I've been trying to learn and trying to read. If Bally Sports claims bankruptcy, where are the Cardinals going to be? Like, where are their broadcasts going to be? Where are you going to be able to find those on TV? I texted you today down here. I'm officially buying the MLB package because in New Orleans that I'll be able to get the Cardinals games, obviously. But what's going to happen if this happens? Have you read anything? Have you heard anything, or we just sit back and wait? Because I think in the long term, probably a good move. Bally Sports freaking sucks. They evidently that's part of the reason the Cardinals aren't spending the kind of money that they want to spend is because of this issue with Sinclair
That's
and
not true.
everything else.
That's not true.
Well, that's what they're
Well,
saying.
no, Bill DeWitt came out and said that wasn't a factor, so
Oh
that's not
well,
true.
that
Um,
Mozeliak said the
no,
otherwise.
he didn't. Neither of them said that. Don't say that. That's not what was said. That's not what
It
was
is
said.
what it was said.
They
They
said they
both
said
said
they
that
said the
it put
opposite.
them
They
put
said
them
the
in
opposite.
limbo for not knowing where they
They
were going
said
to
it for the
be.
future, but they said for this year had nothing to do with it. So I'm going to take
Future.
them at their
Okay.
word.
Okay.
Yeah, we do know that if Bally Sports itself isn't going under, it's the company Sinclair that owns Bally
Sinclair.
Sports. So if Sinclair does file for bankruptcy, what I heard was Bally Sports will continue to broadcast all the games. They just will not. Sinclair's will not be getting money for the games. So it'll be the other major investors will be the ones that will now be
Okay.
profiting from it. That's what I heard. I don't know. I'm not a business major, so I would do your own research if you're listening to this. But the games will still be. You'll still be able to watch the
In
games. I
St.
do know
Louis,
that.
Cardinal
Anyway,
fans will still be able to get to see all of the
yes,
games.
yeah.
How long do you believe until like then this is not part of our player profile, which we'll get to here in just a second. I just kind of want to get your take on this because I was just reading about it today. Um, how long do you believe until finally maybe they charge a little bit more for the MLB package, up the price to eliminate the blackout restrictions, use that extra money to hand out to the cable companies if you have to? Or do you think baseball is going to finally join where it looks like football's heading and go almost all streaming with a lot of their games, where the NBA's heading as well?
They're never gonna do that because I just don't think they'll be able to make enough money. Um, all these people, most of their the reason the Yankees and the Dodgers can spend way more money than the Cardinals can is because of how much money they make from their local networks. They will never get all 30 teams on board to do one streaming service. It's just never going to happen. So I would assume that the thing
Really?
that
I
I
think
think
it
will
will
happen
happen.
is I think a lot of teams are going to start getting their own local networks if they can
That's
support it,
bingo.
like the Cardinals. Like I feel like the Cardinals
Yeah.
and the Blues can go in together and probably get a local network that might make them way more money, honestly, than Bally Sports is giving them.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Obviously, you see Nesson in Boston, you see the Yes Network in New York. Those things work
And
really, really
SNY.
well. SNY. Yeah, I think that's where it's headed. But I honestly believe, like we saw last year, many games on the cock. We saw many games on Apple TV. I think they did what 2 a week on Apple TV. I think you're going to see the shift start. I mean, if you do the numbers, cable companies are really hurting because people are switching over to all these streaming services. And if you're baseball, like just aligning yourself with these local networks is, we talk about wanting to grow the brand. Like that's the way to start growing the brand is to get out in these streaming services more and more. Do you agree?
Yeah, and obviously over the weekend, I believe, or maybe last week, MLB Network and YouTube TV didn't come to an agreement. So baseball is really getting hurt by the fact that they're outpricing themselves,
Yeah.
and cable companies are not making enough money, so they're now charging more money for people to stream on there, so they can compensate for the fact that people aren't subscribing to them as much. It's a mess, but I don't know. I don't have enough information on all of it
Me
to
neither. I
give
just I
my
was reading about that today, and I'm
takes
always
on it.
intrigued by the future of the money of the game because there is so much of it,
It's
and
going to
just
keep going
how
up. They're going to keep
we
making
want to
more
keep
money.
getting. If we want to keep getting younger as a game, which Major League Baseball keeps saying, then they're going to have to think outside the box instead of still thinking that it's 1965 and you're showing 2 games a week on Saturdays. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say
So
that
it'll be interesting.
the blackout thing, this is the last thing I want to say on it.
Yeah,
Bill
it's fine.
DeWitt's one of the most influential owners in all of baseball. He always has been. He said that he came out and was said that they needed to get rid of the blackout restrictions. Really the first owner I've heard really say that. So that was big. So we'll see. I think it's heading that direction.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm sorry. I know that we want to get to who I today put out on a tweet that said, is, in my opinion, the Rodney Dangerfield of baseball. Did you understand that tweet?
Nope.
Yeah, I thought about that afterwards. People
After you
your
tweeted, I
age
was kind of
might.
like, why did you tweet that?
Well, Rodney Dangerfield's big thing was I get no respect, right? And in my opinion, I believe, if not one of the most underrated players in the National League and maybe in all of baseball, is Tommy Edman, who is our focus for today's podcast. It just seems like, and I have been guilty of this, all right, that I didn't know a lot about him. Well, we talked about this last time with Brendan Donovan coming up. I didn't know a lot about him coming up. That's on me. That's not Tommy's fault. That's not the organization's fault. All he's done is come up and produce, especially defensively. Now he's right around league average every year with his, OPS plus.
8% above last year.
8% above, and I think in 90 or 2019 in his rookie year he was like 122. I think when he came up, and the other years have been in the 90s.
He was good. He was really
But the
good that year.
problem is, like, you're talking about a guy who in 2021 won a Gold Glove, uh, got kind of shafted this year because he should have won another Gold Glove. Led the National League in, I think, defensive runs saved at the shortstop position, or was right there. Was one of the two. He and Dansby were right there. And I think also kind of got screwed because Brendan Donovan won the utility Gold Glove, but he did win the Fielding Bible Award for the multiple position. Didn't know that existed till today. Had no idea that was a thing. Tommy won that. That was awesome. What do you think about do you think Tommy is underrated? Do you think he's where he should be? Do you think any of this really freaking matters at all?
Well, no, it doesn't matter. But what I do think, one, I think he's the best defensive player, period, in all of baseball. The best. He can do he can do more than anybody else in baseball. I don't want to hear any other player brought up even close to him. Nolan's the best defensive player at third base. Nolan can't play shortstop, second base, and right field at an elite level like Tommy Edman can.
And left
But
field.
do I think he's overrated? I don't know. By some people, maybe
Under.
underrated. By some people, maybe he is. It depends on what you value. If you value defense, you know who Tommy Edman is. If you don't, and you're one of those guys that says, "Hey, let me go vote for the All-Star game," and all you look at is OPS, then yeah, you're not going to understand why Tommy Edman has a 6.4 B WAR in 2023. I think by people that watch him every day, he is not underrated. By people who don't get the opportunity to watch him every day, he probably is. But I would say that about a lot of players that aren't hitting 35 home runs. Like even look at some of the players on the Cardinals, like Donovan, who was a third and rookie of the year Like no one's gonna understand why he's so valuable unless you watch him every day. So I think this just kind of goes with the territory of baseball that you don't understand the value of some of these players, unless you watch them for 160 games a year.
Yeah, the one thing I will say that does still get me every once in a while, and I'm not saying I'm not even guilty of this. I've been guilty of this. I was guilty of this last year. But I've kind of waned off of it now that I've paid more attention to the what Tommy Edman really does bring to the team, is the fact that how loud it got for the Cardinal fans wanting to quickly replace Tommy at short. And I know their idea was go get the big shortstop and move him to second base. But again, Dansby had 16. He was 16 wins above average or outs above average. Tommy was 15. So they were right there. I knew that was close in the National League. But people were really quickly ready to move Tommy to get Dansby when you really have Brendan Donovan over there. Like you weren't when
Can we set up this question? Because I was going to ask you this actually.
Yeah, sure.
Because I know where you're going, but I think there's a better way to get there. No offense.
Oh,
I want
to. When you say no offense, it's sort of like you say sentence and then you say but, which hey, you look really nice but. Today, but
okay, let me
eliminates.
Okay. What I'm saying is, my question to you, and it's kind of where I wanted to go with the beginning of this before we get into Tommy as a player and what he does on the field. The talk was about Bogarts. I'm going to leave Dansby out because I was never on that. And I think most people believe that Tommy and Dansby, different players, but comparable in value. I'm going to go with Bogarts, Trey Turner, and Carlos Correa.
Right.
Do you think that Tommy Edman is good enough to pass on the 2 years of absolutely insane shortstop classes in free agency? We're talking about generational talent, like 10 of them. 6 of them, 7, whatever.
Here's what I'll say. The only guy that honestly I answered no to is Carlos Correa because of his age. We talked on here before about
Trey Corey Seager.
I'm a massive Trey Turner. I think when you look at the price of those and the length of those deals, Bogart's 11 years at 31 years old. Turner 11 years at 30 years old. What did Seager get? How many years? Do you remember? 10?
10 for 350 maybe?
That's just none of that. And this is another argument for another time, but none of that reeked Cardinals. What reeked Cardinals was if you could sneak in and get Carlos Correa for 2 to 4 years at a high AAV. Like that did reek Cardinals. It didn't happen. He ends up going back to the Twins, has 18 more opt-outs, I think, whatever. So Correa was the only one, in my opinion, that I would have really seriously looked at out of all of the free agents. Because even if you look at last year, Trevor Story, not a great year. Javi Baez, not a great year. Correa was very good. Outside of that, if you look at the free agent shortstop,
Corey Seager was very good too.
Marcus Semien was really good for a second baseman, but he's getting paid shortstop money. And if you were playing shortstop, his numbers weren't that incredible. And defensively, he's not Tommy Edman. So, I guess my answer is for Carlos Correa, who I believe is at 27, 28 years old, the guy that's going to get you the max value. Then that would have been the only guy that I would have looked at. Outside of that, I love Trey Turner. I love Xander Bogaerts. At their age, for the length that they were going to get from other teams and the AAV, it just doesn't make any sense because now what you're doing is you're hamstringing yourself in other positions, mainly pitching that this team is going to probably have the opportunity to look at come trade deadline time.
I have multiple thoughts. One, my answer is last offseason, they dodged multiple bullets because let's be honest. Right. They weren't going to go give Carlos Correa that weird high AAV deal. They just weren't going to give him a 3 opt-out deal. I just don't. The Cardinals aren't that team. And then Javier Baez and Trevor Story. Those deals look horrible. Absolutely, like a horrible, bad
Especially now, it looks like Story's going to miss all of.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, I like Trevor Story as a player, but you don't know what he's going to be able to be with Tommy John surgery. And then the other guy, Corey Seager. That's the deal I wanted them to do. Whatever. And then this offseason a little different.
Well, Seager had a very good year last year.
He's really good. He's one of the best players in baseball. But this year, the only deal I would have even considered was Correa. And with the way the Cardinals operate, I'm not even giving him that because you're worried about his ankle. Like if Steve Cohen wasn't willing to match what the Twins gave him, why in the hell would Bill DeWitt match that? He's not going to.
No.
So there's that factor as well. And the biggest thing for me, when I was talking about shortstops, I wanted Xander Bogaerts because I thought you could get him for 6 years. That's not what happened because the Padres went nuclear and gave him 11. But here's the thing. If you're going to give out big contracts, you cannot have all you can't have 80% of your payroll. It wouldn't be that high, that's hyperbolic, but 60% of your payroll can't be on the infield. It just
Right.
can't be. If you're gonna give out another big deal like that, a $30 million a year deal, it has to be to an ace. It has to be to a center fielder that's is gonna be an all-star every year. But I don't think putting that on the infield is a good idea. And on top of that, Tommy Edman's getting paid $5 million this year, right around that. Is Dansby Swanson worth 12 million more dollars than him? Is
No.
Xander Bogaerts worth 20 more million dollars than him? No, he's not. So I like that they stayed with Tommy Edman. I think it brings up an interesting conversation. And I think obviously we have to talk about Mason Wynn in this conversation. That's probably the bigger reason.
That's where
But
I was going.
but for
Yeah.
me, Tommy Edman for the foreseeable future until Mason Wynn proves he is ready to hit at the big league level, I am perfectly fine with him being my shortstop every single day.
Do you have this in front of you? Might not, so I might catch you off guard on this. When is Tommy up? Like, when is his? Do you think the Cardinals will be one of these teams that might give him a 3-year extension, waiting on Mason Wynn, or do you think they're going to wait and ride this out? Because I was going to get to the Mason Wynn thing,
Do you
and
want
then
me to answer
obviously
your question?
I got going on the other thing and got sidetracked.
Do you want me to answer your question?
Whoa, was that
Um,
passive aggressive
no, I'm
or?
just asking you if you want me to answer it or
Hey,
if you wanted to say
chill,
something
Caleb.
else.
Let Mike cook.
No, I'm actually asking, did you want me to answer it? Because I have it right here.
Yeah, it was going to be a two-parter, but that's okay. You go
He's
ahead.
in his first year of arbitration this season. So he got
Okay.
4.45 million, something like that. And he's a free agent for the 2026 year, I
Oh yeah,
believe.
so they don't need to do anything then. There's no need to give him an extension unless
So
you
he'll
just
be
want to make
here the
him
next
happy.
3 years,
Right. So there's no
23
need
through
to do anything. And
25.
he's going to be 28 in May. Um, so where
Right.
he's entering peak, I mean, honestly, peak territory. Now, a lot of people don't agree with that because they see the Michael Harris's and they see the J. Rod. Look, there's only a handful of those guys that are doing what they're doing at their ages.
And a
There's
handful of
a
those guys ever.
right. That's what I'm saying. So let's not forget 27, big year for a lot
And
of
he went to
people.
college and he's
Right.
Tommy's a
Yeah.
great player.
Yeah.
I mean,
Out of, I guess, born Wisconsin. Is that where I
I
saw? I
do
don't
think
remember
though
where.
what you just kind of hit on is something that we should talk about a little bit with him. There have been a lot of extension talks. There was a report that came out that said Tommy Edman, and the Cardinals did have interest in trying to give him a longer term deal, whether that was buying out all of his RB years or that
That
was them actually trying to add some years on.
right.
I don't know where I stand on it. I love Tommy, and I don't think he's ever going to be a non-valuable player for you, especially in the next, I don't know, 6, 7 years. I think he's always going to be very valuable because he's really good at a lot of things. I don't know if an extension for Tommy Edman makes sense if you want to keep Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, and Nolan Gorman.
I was okay. You kind of beat me. Kind of beat me to the shark there. Jumped the shark. Whatever that saying is. You beat me to it. I was going to say when you've got Donovan, Gorman, and Wynn, I think it's going to be one of those where they don't like. We saw them go ahead and for no reason. I say that. I guess there was a reason, but extend Paul DeYoung, and now you're stuck with it. I'm not saying that's going to be Tommy Edman because I'm in the agreement with you that I believe
He's
that's
not
the guy
Paul
who's going to be
DeYoung.
valuable. Know where you're going to put him, but I don't think there's any need to unless you're going to buy out his RB years for the next 3 years. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I think
and
that's
that's
the only
fine.
answer right there.
Here
But
and
agreed.
here's my thing as well. Like I I think the only time you should jump the gun on an extension is if there's a guy that you think is going to go to the free agent market and outprice himself from you in a
Right.
few
Right.
years. Tommy Edman's a great player, and I think he's probably going to get, I don't know, 15 million a year if he keeps playing like this. He's never going to outprice the Cardinals. Like, he's never
No.
going to get to a point where the Cardinals say shit, like he hit the market and now the Dodgers are offering him 30 million a year, and we're not willing to do that. So for me, Tommy, I love Tommy. I'd love to have him be a Cardinals whole career if he continues to play like this. But I just don't think that that's a necessity
I
in
agree. And what
2023.
you're talking about too is what the Braves have been so good at, and what the Astros have been good at. Now the Braves are almost have been too good at it because they're probably going to have to come back and they're probably going to have to reevaluate the Ronald Acuna deal because that's what he's going to be
Ozzy
wanting.
Albies.
Then they're going to probably have to reevaluate the Ozzy Albies deal. But either way, what they've done is they put themselves in a fantastic position as an organization with these players. And if you look at the Cardinals, this is no offense to anyone. You've got to see what you have in Brendan Donovan. You've got to see what you have in Nolan Gorman. Those guys could be Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker. They could be where those are guys that they're going to want to lock up early to make sure that they don't have to get outbid by the Mets, the Dodgers, the who fill in the blanks, right? I mean, but right now they're not sitting on a lot stockpile of those guys.
I just don't think Tommy Edman's ever a guy you're going to have to,
I
jump
don't
the
think so
market
either.
on.
And
Like
I don't think
Jordan
Brendan
Walker,
Donovan is
if you're
either.
talking Jordan Walker Rookie of the Year, then yes, that's a guy you try and jump the market on. But that's not what Tommy Edman is. And that's no offense to Tommy. He's just not, he doesn't profile as that Corey Seager type money because he doesn't hit 30 homers a year.
Right.
What do you expect from Tommy Edman in 2023? Do you expect him to bat leadoff, bat ninth, which is
Okay.
what I would
Thank
like?
you for asking that, by the way.
And then obviously we can get into his defense. I think we know what to expect there and his base running. But I have a couple things. I think we can get into this after you answer my question. But I do want to talk about how rule changes are going to affect Tommy Edman. But
Okay.
you can go ahead.
You and I have talked about this a lot, and I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter right now where people love to throw Tommy Edman in the leadoff spot. With his OBP where it sits, to me, he just screams number 9 hitter in this lineup. When you have guys like Lars or Donovan who can hit at the top of that lineup, get on base at a high percentage for the guys who are going to be behind them. But when you have Tommy hitting 9th, he doesn't have to sit up there and try to extend counts. He can be a little bit more aggressive early in the lineup in the 9th slot. I just feel like with his OBP, which has never been, 350 his first year, which is really, really good. But then 317, 308, 324, talking about a career 320, that's probably where he's going to be. Like, I don't know that I see that changing, and you don't want to take the aggressiveness away from it, which you do if you put him in the leadoff spot. I like Tommy Edman in the 9 slot. I think that's where he should be. I think you're going to see 10 to 15 home runs from Tommy because we know he's going to hit them, right? I just think I think what you're seeing, I think he'll be a 110 plus, maybe OPS plus guy in that area, above league average hitter. But I think when you provide elite defense at shortstop with this pitching staff that we have right now, we don't have 5 Jacob deGroms out there. We got guys who are going to get ground balls, and on a shift with Nolan, tell me something that's going to get through the left side of the infield.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can bet him both. I think that's the answer because he's really 2 different hitters, right? Left-handed, he's batting 9th, and I'm not moving him up unless he earns it. Like last year, it is fair to say, like he struggled. He does this. You've got to give. I'm kind of concerned about the shortstop position because I think he's shown that he can play 150 games, but it really isn't in his best interest to be playing every day because he really goes into slumps in June and July, like long extended slumps when he's been playing every single day. He's done that the last 2 years where he's just not hitting at all for a month or 3 weeks because he's really tired, I think is what it is. But I do think when he's batting left-handed, he should be batting 9th. When he's batting right-handed, bat him first, bat him 6th. When he's batting right-handed, he's one of the better hitters on your team. When he's batting left-handed, he's like Dylan Carlson, a guy we'll talk about next week. I think next week we'll be talking about him. They're 2 different hitters, and you have to treat him that way. I don't think he should be batting first ever when he's batting left-handed because Brendan Donovan's just better than him in that situation.
Yeah, if you just look at the numbers overall, obviously if you look at him in his splits, and that's what the people love to focus at versus righties last year, you're talking about a 704 OPS versus lefties, 782 OPS. Big difference in slugging. On base is about the same. Average only about 15 points different. But that slugging, a lot more power from the other side. But I honestly believe when you also look at the numbers, if you look just last year, 671 OPS in the leadoff spot and an 868 OPS in the number 9 slot. There's a reason for that. He's not a guy who needs to take 7 pitches in an at bat. He's a guy who likes to go up there, and if he gets a fastball early or something he likes, he jumps on it. But when you put him in the leadoff spot, that takes it away. In my opinion, Donovan and Newbar can do that. They can ride those counts out and still hit deep into a count. I'm not saying Tommy can't. That's not what I'm trying to. But it is shown that I think when he gets hit earlier, and I don't have those stats in front of me, I probably should. So I might just be speaking out of turn here. But it does feel like that's the kind of player he is, where the 9 slot really works. I would not want to. I'm not gonna lie. I don't ever want to see Tommy Edman in the 6 hole. Like put him 9th and leave.
If he's batting right-handed, I would. If there's a lefty, because you can't bat him 9th against a lefty starting because he's too good to do that.
I disagree with that, but that's
you could, I guess, because your lineup's so good against.
Correct.
But I wouldn't bat Donovan or Newbar ahead of him against a lefty. There's no reason to do that. Here's what I'll say: when you have guys like Donovan and Newbar who are projecting to be 350 OBP guy like Newbar probably, and I would say Donovan around the 380 mark, right? That's elite on base percentage guys. There's no reason to bat Tommy Edman first. And honestly, I don't think anybody that watches the Cardinals wants to bat him first. That's more of a national media thing where they don't really watch the Cardinals every day.
It's a Twitter thing too,
Um,
dude.
but I mean, I get it because you look at Tommy and you're like, that's a leadoff hitter. He doesn't strike out very much. And he's small, he's fast. He looks like a leadoff hitter, but he's not a leadoff hitter because we look at on base percentage now. I want to get into the rule changes and what I was saying. I think nearly every single rule change made, besides the pitch clock, because I don't think that's going to affect him. I think nearly every rule change that was made this year is going to impact Tommy Edman in a positive way. And what I mean by that is, I think the bigger bases, he's probably going to steal more bases. Because when you look at it, it's like, well, only the bases are only 2 inches bigger in diameter. Well, it's called a game of inches for a reason. You mess up the inches, you mess up the timing. How many times does Tommy Edman get thrown out? Not very many anyway. And when he does, it's very, very close. I think you could see his stolen base numbers. How many did he steal last year? Do you have that number in front of you?
Yeah, I got it right here. Hold on.
32.
2 seconds.
I got it. 32.
Yeah, there it is. 32.
So I think you could see 40 stolen bases out of Tommy Edman next year.
Wow.
I think with that, I mean, 8 more, and I think
I love it. I'm not wowing that you're like off base. I'm saying that would be fantastic.
I think you could see Tommy, and that's from the 9-hole, by the way, people. I think you could see Tommy Edman have maybe the highest defensive WAR in all of baseball because he's got some of the best range in all of baseball, and I think he's one of the most athletic players in baseball, probably, right? Without the shift, like I think you're going to be able to see his athleticism on display like it really hasn't been before because he's not going to be positioned right where the ball is going to be hit. So his defensive value is going to go up another level because he's going to be able to do stuff that other shortstops can't do because his range is like one of the best in baseball.
Yeah, back to the left-right comment or the left-right debate. Donovan, looking it up, I just checked. Donovan's number is almost the exact same against lefties as Tommy Edman. So leave Brennan Donovan in the leadoff spot. That's
We're not going to do that.
Or I understand it, but I just think it brings so much more value with Tommy hitting 9th. And knowing that he's hitting 9th, and then if Carlson's hitting 8th or whatever, we don't know. Again, we know that Ollie's going to utilize the flexibility. I'm okay with that. We've talked on here.
We'll also see how people are hitting.
I was pitching. We don't know. For years, I was in the pigeonhole of let's put one lineup up. I don't think that way anymore. No, utilize the flexibility to the best of your ability. But I just think that him in that 9 slot is so valuable.
Do you have any comments on my rule changes thing?
No, I think I agree with you. But if he gets 40 stolen bases, who was the last Cardinal to steal 40 bases? Do you know?
No, probably someone in the 90s. Like,
you think it's been that long?
Probably. Who else would have done? They haven't been known for speed.
That's probably true.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea. But what do you think about the defense? The defense. Do you think that's going to benefit him?
Like I said before, I think that with his defense. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts out the highest defensive WAR at shortstop. You said in the game, I wouldn't be shocked. He's that good, folks. Like he is that good. His range is great. He's an elite second baseman. People said he couldn't play shortstop. Folks, he's an elite shortstop. I never understood that. Dude played shortstop at Stanford. Dude played shortstop in high school. Dude played shortstop in the minor leagues. And now we got these
Joe Schmoes
on the internet and in everywhere else telling everybody who probably never played
baseball. Hold on. In fairness, that was propaganda for Paul DeYoung given out to the media by John Mozeliak.
Well,
in fairness, like that's fair to say.
But people bought
that wasn't spread by people. Yes, but people believe what he says because guess what? You should probably be able to believe most things that John Mozeliak says. And I think the even bigger thing that led into that was the dumbest thing that happened all of last year that pissed both of us off was that they were so adamantly against giving the media a reason to ask why they're not calling Nolan Gorman up that they put Tommy Edman at second and Brendan Donovan at short when they pulled Paul DeYoung down to the minor leagues. So that was handled poorly by them, but whatever. They got there eventually. I don't know. I think Tommy Edman's one of the best shortstops in baseball in terms of value he's going to bring to your team. Is he the flashy one? He's not Francisco Lindor. Okay. Lindor does both. He's one of the best defensive shortstops and he's going to hit you 30 bombs. But when he's batting 9th, he doesn't need to do what those shortstops do in this offense. Because the offense has the power. They have the guys that are going to be hitting the 30 homers with the 800, 850 OPSs. Tommy doesn't need to be that guy. And I think if from day one you're batting him 9th and you're slotting him in that role and say, hey, Tommy, go be our ninth hitter. You're doing it all year and you're playing shortstop. We're not moving you around. Go do it the entire year. I think that's going to benefit him because he's really never had that. He's always been moving positions. He's always been moving spots in the lineup. Leave Tommy in the 9 hole and have him playing shortstop every single day and let him be and see what happens. Because I think
I
some
agree.
consistency could do wonders for Tommy Edman because he's really never had it.
No, I agree. And you said earlier they're not going to do that, but let's hope they do. Let's hope they do. Let's hope Lars or Brendan force them to do that. Like that's another thing.
Both, yeah.
Like and Tyler and whoever, fill in
Jordan
the blanks,
Walker.
fill in the blanks. Like whoever it is. Let's hope that those guys, if you're rolling out Tommy Edman at short every day and he's hitting ninth, your lineup is pretty fucking good, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, and I know when this isn't a Mason Wynn situation, that's not what we're doing, but this is the only one we're going to do on the shortstop position, right? So I think we should probably at least mention Mason Wynn and how he might impact Tommy Edman, not this year, maybe next year moving forward. I am very interested to see what the hell they do with this middle infield because I think we could argue right now it's a little crowded. Who's playing second base? I mean, probably Brendan Donovan, but your former number one prospect's then a second baseman now. You moved there because you got Nolan Arenado and you wanted Gorman to have a plan in the big leagues, and then Brendan Donovan came and fucked the whole plan up, I think, and said, "No, well, I'm too good. You're gonna have to play me." And then Tommy Evans playing shortstop. Mason Wynn's coming. I think you're going to have to see a trade at some point of somebody, or else it's just stockpiling. Like it's almost an embarrassment of riches in the offensive players that they have right now. Like it's kind of crazy. But do you think they're going to just keep all four of these guys forever? I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't think to be fair, Caleb, I don't think they know what they're going to do. Like, what's going to happen to Paul DeYoung? Like, that's the other question.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
I know. No, I understand. But I'm just saying, like, that's the thing. We don't know what happens there. I think, one of the big knocks has been, can Mason Wynn hit at the big league level? Well, last year, through 2 leagues, he had an 832 OPS. Like
at 20 years old.
Right. And then he went out to the Arizona Fall League and he put up a 760 OPS. Guys, the Arizona Fall League,
and he put up like a 350 OBP. He was an all-star.
Yeah, he had a 407 OBP and a 353 slug in the Arizona
407 OBP.
Like, so and guys, that is a massive progression from a guy who's right around a 700 OPS the year before. Obviously, very young.
What people don't talk about with him, that was his first year of an offseason going in, knowing he was a shortstop.
Right.
Like that's when they said, "Hey, also, get rid of the pitch." He said, "Hey, get rid of the pitching stuff. You're our shortstop."
Yep.
He's 20, and I think him and Walker don't get enough credit. They got rid of they had their first ever taste of pro ball was in Sauget on the field taking batting practice with other people in the middle of a pandemic.
The same field you hit a home run on, by the way.
Yeah, that field. But and to me, people don't give him enough credit for him and Walker. Like they've been thrown into the fire. The way those two have adapted and really excelled is remarkable. I hope they take their time with Mason Wynn. He's a little more raw of a prospect. Walker's a more defined guy. He's probably going to come up and be at least a league average hitter, probably better. Mason Wynn's a guy they're going to take their time with. So I think that's why they're not too stressed about the situation right now. But if Mason Wynn goes out there, he's going to be in AAA, I think. If he goes out there and does what he's done since he's been here, which is exceed expectations, and maybe get even better with a second full off season of knowing he's a shortstop and knowing what he needs to work on after the Arizona Fall League, he might push their hands to have to do something. And I know this is a 2023 thing.
In 21 at Peoria, which you and I went up to, right? The single A team, high A. Do they still call it high A? Are they still doing that?
It's high A, yeah.
Okay, so they still do that. I know that some got a red A plus. They throw it on here, and then he only played 33 last year at Peoria and went up to Springfield and pretty quickly. That's within a month and a half. And in Springfield at Double A, he put up. Good Lord, he put up a 970 OPS.
No, that was at Peoria. He put up a 780.
I apologize. That was at 780. Yeah, my apologies.
But his power, OPS, but he had a power uptick.
Yes, and again, we're talking about a 20-year-old. Look, here's the thing: you're sitting on a guy at Gorman who's going to turn 23. Walker's 21.
Walker's 20. Walker turns
20.
Walker is soon. Walker's 10 days younger than me.
How's that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I'm not talented. That's what it makes me feel like.
Hey, you can tell Jordan Walker I hit a home run at
sure he hit plenty.
But then you got Mason Wynn at 20. We haven't even got to Graceffo and the pitchers. We saw some of the guys down. Todd, we saw the guy Todd down at single A.
Todd Lott.
Yeah, up at Double A. He's going to be at Double A this year. He's on the fast track to be in the Triple A at 23 years old. Like, I know he's not as young as the other guys, but again, like everybody wants to take 5 of these guys and trade them for one guy, and it's like we don't have to do that right now. I think what the Cardinals are hoping, like I said earlier with the lineup, is somebody takes over these spots, and then they have a more defined role come the deadline of what they want to look at and do.
Here's where they could run into a problem.
They're all good?
No, that's a great problem to have. That's not a problem. If all of them are decent, and none of them are great, none of them are above average, they're all just kind of good. And then you don't know what the hell to do.
Which is what we saw with Piscotty. We saw with Grichuk. We saw with Pham. We saw with...
No, Pham was great.
Yeah, okay. Well, so we saw with those guys. Sorry, you're right. Pham was really good. He just,
Pham was one of the best center field seasons the Cardinals have ever had.
Yep.
But I don't know, and I don't think they know, and I don't think we should put any expectations on any of these guys. But I do think Tommy Edman, to circle all the way back, is going to be in the plans for this team no matter what happens with the other 3. I think the other 3 impact each other, but I think Tommy Edman is a level above in the eyes of the organization.
I think you could be right. I think if Mason Wynn comes out and
they love him, Dad. They love Tommy Edman.
I know. Well, I guess what I'm saying is,
Could you imagine an infield defense of Nolan Arenado, Mason Wynn, Tommy Edman, and Paul Goldschmidt?
Yeah, but what you just did was you forgot Brendan Donovan, the guy who just won the Gold Glove award.
He's a utility player.
And
then Nolan Gorman's dropping bombs in the DH spot. So maybe we keep all of them. I just talked myself into it. They're all Cardinals for life.
I mean, yeah, like you said, it's a good prospect to be in, good avenue to be in. But like you said, some of them are going to have to rise. Some of them have to rise.
I think we're gonna get into the outfield as well. Some of these guys, they're all very talented and have the ability to do it, which is the good thing. If any of them have massive improvements, massive leaps, like we've seen guys have, like it brings me back last year, like Cedric Mullins, who had a massive, he just separated himself. They need to have some of these guys separate themselves from the pack, and then the outlook on the future and the trade deadline becomes way clearer.
Let me ask you this without sounding like Debbie Downer, okay? Because that's not the road I'm going to. Do you believe they're going to give enough of those guys the opportunity to separate themselves? Because we have seen in the past with this franchise, with all of our managers, an extended slump. And even Ali has said, and I'm not blaming Ali, but Ali has said, if you're hitting, you're going to play. If you're not, you're not. So if there's an extended slump, like I don't think we ever knew with certain guys here what they could be because they never were given that. What's the word? That like the
runway,
the line to hang. Yeah, what am I looking for? Like
the runway.
There you go. Well, sure, let's go with that one. But that's like, do you think? What do you think? Because you have so many guys. Like, let's say Nolan Gorman goes out and he slumps. Is it possible that we never really see like that? That's what I'm always wondering.
I think it depends on the level of your prospect status and the level of the expectations within the organization. Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, no, I don't worry about that as much because I think they have massive expectations and have refused to trade both of them when we know right now you trade one of those 2 guys, you're getting a pretty big return in Major League talent. Okay, they're betting on those 2.
Okay.
Guys like Donovan, if Donovan would have come up last year and he would have just been a 320 OPS guy, OBP guy and played good defense, he probably wouldn't have been playing very much. He had to impress. But I think that's the way that all sports are, right? Like that's being at the highest level. You have to perform or you're not playing. Like Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt can slump for 2 months because they've built up the reputation of being one of the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
But
and by no means was I saying
you got to play well.
That you got a guy who's in a 40-game slump. I'm not saying that.
Sometimes I do agree with you. It can work against your team when you have Mike Matheny or Mike Schilt managing it.
Or Ollie Marmol, if you're the Detroit Tigers.
Yes. Ollie Marmol puts
you just let him play.
Tony La Russa was one of the best I've ever seen at this. But Ollie Marmol, in the same vein, puts players in positions to be successful.
Yes.
So as long as he does that, I think you're going to see players perform. I think you're going to see players perform better, like Brendan Donovan did last year. And I think Ollie as well as the coaching staff, knows what they have in these players better than we do. So I don't think they're going to throw aside, like, say, Gorman goes 0 for 20 to start the year. They might send him down to get some confidence, but I don't think they're going to say, well, that guy's never going to do anything for us
No,
again.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. Yeah, and just like it's so easy, like I said earlier, to start it off. Back to my Rodney Dangerfield comment. It's just so easy to forget about Tommy. Like it really is. Like we talk about Nolan, we talk about Goldie, we talk about Jordan Walker, we talk about Gorman, we talk about Wilson Contreras. We talk about what can Dylan Carlson do, and you just sort of forget about the guy who just goes out there every day and does his business. And as long as Tommy continues to do that, like I said, I believe he's one of the most underrated players in Major League Baseball. He should have been an all-star last year. He should have won a Gold Glove last year. Hey, shout out to the Fielding Bible for getting it right, evidently. But yeah, I just think, but he doesn't give two fucks. But that there is like professional athletes.
Some players do. I mean, they still.
I was gonna say there is that little grinding. Like, okay, so you want to disrespect me? I think almost all athletes have that.
I mean, we know no one has that.
I hope. Hey, keep doing it. Keep disrespecting the guys. So he keep coming out and putting out 6.4 awards for us every year.
Yeah, I mean, his year last year was really incredible. I mean, he was
underrated, so
underappreciated. 13 bombs, Dad. Dropped 13. Like that's
why I said I think he'll be between 10 and 15. If he gets 15 home runs and steals 40 bases and plays Gold Glove shortstop, he
also improved batting left-handed. Like he really did. He had more power. He had like 4 homers off the Brewers or something. I saw him lead off a game with a homer at one of the games I was at.
Well, we saw him win one too with was it the Grand Slam?
No, it was a 2-run homer.
2-run, okay.
But we weren't at that game. We were not.
But we were watching us on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. I think I don't know, man. I mean, I think you disrespected him for so long on this podcast.
I did.
If you want to go back to about I don't know, a year and a half ago,
God, here we
in
go.
2021,
fucking receipts.
It would be me.
You and D.
We weren't on YouTube at the time, which I hope if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. We haven't said that yet. But you would always say, Tommy Edman, he's just a role player. He's not a starting player. What team is he starting on? What team, what good playoff team is Tommy Edman starting on?
I'd like right now to issue a formal apology to Tommy Edman, to the Edman family, to Stanford baseball, to his high school team in San Diego, to everybody, because I was wrong. And I will take
to the entire country of South Korea.
I said it before that I believe, and I am at fault for this, and I believe a lot of people are, that if he was a 6th round pick, it's not like he was a 29th round draft pick. He was drafted
the Cardinals really make their living
after his junior year at Stanford. So, it's not like he was a late round pick. It's just one of those guys that wasn't on my radar, and that's my fault, which is why we need Kyle Reese on here to get more guys on my radar, because all he can do is help me.
Yeah. Cardinals, man, we did a whole episode dedicated to how great they've been in rounds 4 through 8.
Well,
lately,
that's what we're gonna have Kyle come on to do.
Some of it, man. Tommy Edman, Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan, Gordon Graceffo, they're the best at that in baseball. But thank you for apologizing, because I've been on the Tommy wagon,
and forever. I am sorry.
I mean, he's just one of the best players. So much fun to watch, and I'm glad he's here. I'm glad they didn't have to go to arbitration with him, and they realized his value and probably paid him more than he would have gotten if he went to arbitration. But they kept him happy, which I always like. So, happy for Tommy.
Before we get out of here, a few things. As Caleb said earlier, look, if you're watching us on YouTube, first of all, thank you very much. You guys are freaking awesome. We greatly appreciate you. But please hit that little red subscribe button. We're working. We're going. We're going on those subscriptions. We just need to keep going. So if you've yet to do it, if you're watching the show, and we know that a lot of you are, we appreciate that. We appreciate the feedback you're giving us on YouTube. We'll hit the mailbag next week. We appreciate all of that. The comments are awesome. Please keep them coming. You can find us at YouTube, obviously under the Hard 9 podcast. Caleb hates the word pod for some reason. But you can find us on, you can find us on Facebook, same way, Hard 9 podcast. Same on Twitter. We are on Instagram, but Caleb doesn't know how to use that. So
and we have officially moved to the Hard 9 podcast instead.
Okay, we are. It is official. We were asking each other that we weren't really totally sure. Also, hey, a few things as you're subscribing, take a peep around your environment there on the screen. Shout out to you for the new graphics. They look
and I changed
awesome,
it. I think I'm pointing the right way. I could be pointing the wrong way. It now says the over there.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if I'm pointing the right way.
And Caleb said, I don't know if it's there yet, or if it's going to be there, or if it's not going to be there. Big time shout out to one of my former students. Awesome dude. I believe ended up graduating from Missouri State. I think he started at Mizzou and ended up at Missouri State. Drake Yost for the new logo. It's awesome. We love it. He gave us a few of them to choose from, and actually you're going to see them because hopefully big things coming. Maybe we got a merch store coming up soon. Just saying, maybe. So
Gotta
you'll
get
see
some
some of
graphic.
those out there. But
I
big
guess I
shout
gotta
out to
take
Drake.
yeah, shout out. I guess I have to take a few graphic design classes because Lord knows you're not gonna do it. So
Fuck no, my glass taking days.
Also
Anyway,
I have a shout out.
get that up on
I
the screen. Get that hard 9 up there, up on the screen.
I'll try. And also, one more shout out that I don't think you noticed. I believe I'm going to make sure that this is accurate, but I believe Brendan Donovan got married this weekend.
Oh, shout out, Brendan. Was that the wedding
Yeah.
we saw down here in New Orleans? Because there was a big to do down there.
He's not from New Orleans, I don't believe.
No, but a lot of people aren't to come down here and get married. Big
Right, let me
second
make
lady
sure
was
that
not
this is
Brendan.
accurate. I believe I'm right.
The guy that got married down here had a Miles Teller mustache.
Yeah, it wasn't him then.
But it was not Miles Teller.
Was I lied to? Hold on one second.
God,
right, how
can
going.
you come? How can you bring this?
Hold on, because I saw the post. Let me make sure I'm right. I don't know where she would have gotten these.
Was it Arian Foster's post?
That was funny, man. People believing him is
that was some great Twitter and some great internet, but it also did make you lose all respect for a lot of humans.
I do believe. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, he did. Well, he was married this weekend.
All right. Why were we not invited to the
wedding? His hair looks fantastic in these pictures.
Of course it does. I do. Well, I just thought it was
what a guy, Donnie, man. We have members of this community, and I normally don't do this, but this pisses me off, so I'm going to do it. We have members of the St. Louis Cardinals Twitter making a podcast who have said that Brendan Donovan was a jerk to them at the winter meet warm-up because he wasn't personable, and that means that Brendan Donovan is an asshole.
There's people walk amongst us, dude. I've almost gotten off. I just it. I've used it for our podcast. I can't handle some of these people anymore.
I normally wouldn't. I'm not going to call him out by name, but I normally wouldn't say something like that. But he's a fan favorite, well deservingly a fan favorite, because the way that guy plays baseball is so much fun to watch. But come on, just be better. Don't say stuff like that. No. Don't ruin someone's reputation with unfounded and unprovable assertions. That pisses me off. I did
kind of do the same about Ozzie Smith, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, don't do that either. He's a legend. But
it's 3 times.
Okay, let's not. You're completely just shitting on what I just said by doing.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
But you just did. You just said you did the same thing. Anyway,
no, that was on me. I
want to give a shout out to Donnie for one, being a new husband, and 2, for being awesome. Don't listen to the idiots.
No, I agree. Well done. We are pro player.
I'm pro Brendan Donovan too, man. I love that guy.
Absolutely. Last thing I do want to say before we get out of here, shout out to Jazz Chisholm for being on the cover of the MLB 23 The Show. Also, shout out to MLB The Show 23, however you want to say it, for getting the Negro Leagues in there. That is awesome.
That is so cool.
Finally, I'm sure it was a rights issue. Everything is a rights issue in the video game.
It's a money thing.
And it's a money thing, and thank goodness they got that worked out. I don't necessarily play the game. I tried to play the game with you when you were younger. You killed me. It was no fun. You destroyed my soul. So there's no reason for me to ever play again. But I do love that they are getting their due. I also love there's probably some more money going to families of these players that well deserved.
And this all started obviously with the Negro League. The stats now being recognized as Major League stats, which is great.
Yes.
Yep. They're doing a thing in the game. It's a game mode where it tells the story and you can play through each player's story, I believe. So you can play through Satchel Paige's story, and there's clips and there's informational stuff. It's really great. It's great for the younger generation to start to learn more about these guys. I know me personally, I've tried to read up as much as I can about the Negro League players. I know Joe Posnanski has a book called The Baseball 100 where he included a lot of Negro League players. And that, to me, that was really great for me to learn a lot about them. But that's great. Shout out Jazz. Not very many people from the Bahamas in major leagues. He's definitely the first player from the Bahamas on the cover of the show, which is awesome.
Yep.
And also shout out Derek Jeter, who's back on the cover of the game as well.
Agreed. The last thing I was going to say is I've been doing a lot of reading as well. You know, I don't read books, but I do read articles. So moving down here to the 504, did not know that we had a Negro League team down here called the Black Pelicans. Does explain the Pelicans name way more now to me outside of just the state bird.
Don't you kind of like it more now?
Love it now. Also love the Black Pelicans logo so much that I'm ordering a shirt or a hoodie. Probably a shirt because you don't need not a lot of hoodie season down here. So I think just a t-shirt. The jerseys are sick. They're just hard to find. So and Ebbsfield flannels, very expensive.
I want a Kansas City Monarchs jersey so bad.
Yeah, so St.
That's a
Louis
Cardinals
Stars,
spread every time.
obviously, learning the Seattle, learning the history of the Negro Leagues. One place I've never been is the Negro League Museum
I'd
in
love to
Kansas
go.
City. It is top 5 destination point for me
And,
for Major League Baseball
and
to
I'm
go
going to
to.
give you two players if you want to be absolutely. There's more, but two players if you want to be absolutely blown away by how great they were, just in terms of all of baseball and talent wise, that never got the chance to be Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, but probably would have been to that level of legend if they were in Major League Baseball. Go look up John Gibson and Satchel Paige.
Was
Two of the
Josh
most.
Gibson?
Josh Gibson. That's what I say.
John?
Oh, sorry, Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige, and
Yeah.
two of I mean, their stats are unreal. Josh Gibson might be the greatest hitting catcher to ever walk the planet. And I
Yeah.
apologize for messing up your name.
My mom, your grandma, saw Satchel Paige pitch for the Browns when she was a kid.
Yep. Back when he got to the major leagues.
He was probably almost 50 years old, if not.
Mhm.
I had to be close. So yes, legends. There are so many more we could keep going into. There's a
Buck
really, I
O'Neil.
think it's called Talent of the Game. That I might have just screwed that up. There's a really good movie based on the Negro Leagues, and I need to look that up. I'll find that out exactly. I haven't seen it in years, but it's out there. Focused on Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson and so
I'm
many more
sure
players.
Buck O'Neil and those guys as well.
Buck O'Neil. Yeah.
Do you
Yep.
have
So
anything
anyway,
else before we get out of here to say
nope,
about
I don't.
Tommy Edman,
You
the
take us
cheat
out
code?
today.
I don't want to do that. You can't do that while we're doing the
Well,
recording.
you judge my
Just don't
outro, so
say
I think it's
cheers.
your
He won't
turn.
stop saying it. He does it half the time.
I've been
And I just
saying it
want
for
some
25
I want
years,
some
dude. And
consistency on
I
this
hate it
podcast.
because McAfee says it. So it makes it sound like I steal that from him, and I don't. I've been
Here's
saying
an
it long
idea then,
before.
Dad.
He was like
Just
a
don't
teenager
fucking
when
do it anymore.
I know. It's so
Then
hard.
you don't
Okay,
have to
it's
worry
done.
about it.
It's out. It's
Instead
out
of
of the
saying
vocabulary.
cheers, say like
Because I don't want people to say, "Oh, well, you're still." That's not what I'm doing.
say
I've done this.
say
I've done this forever.
say hasta luego.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that either. And I'm not really sure I like the way you said that. So, also peep Caleb's new microphone there.
Yeah,
Look
it
at
lights
us.
up.
Now, if you
Look
would
at
just
this.
put something on the fucking
Look
wall,
at this.
things would be so much better.
Look at this.
Whoa.
It's fancy.
What is that for? What is that?
Just a light. I don't know. It's just to look cool. I turned it off though because it
Is
has
that
a
like a
bad it has a
DJ? Is that
bad
like a
glare.
DJ mic?
Yeah, it's Skrillex. It's from
Okay.
him.
All right. All right.
Not
All right.
actually.
Hey, first of all, we greatly appreciate you as always. Thank you so much. You can find us on all of our socials at Caleb Noble 08, at Mike Noble 08. You know about the Hard 90 pod.
They'll be right below our faces.
There we go. There we go. Once again, shout out to Drake Yost for the logo. Shout out to you for the graphics. And we greatly appreciate you. Please hit that subscribe button. As always, we love that. As always, guys, tell a friend. Have a fantastic week. We will be back soon with our next player profiles. We're getting ready for spring training, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.